Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. I'm gonna jump right in here. Ed, I want to start with you. Uh, some of the things that come out of Donald's mouth are a little bit cringy. The man never had an unexpressed thought. So I have to ask you, in the same spirit of a character like Archie Bunker or Al Bundy, how do you approach a role like this, knowing that he may not be the most likable guy?
I just memorize the lines and say them. I mean, it's the part, you have to sort of do it, and it has to be, you have to get an okay after you do it. Is that okay? And then you move on. I mean, basically, you just try to service the writing and make it close to what they have in mind.
Yeah. Well, I want to follow up with the two of you, Jackie and Cleopatra, because the three of you are in quite a triangle here. Like, you're not rooting for these characters, but you're not exactly rooting against them. Uh, Looking at Shelley and V, did you have ideas of these characters going into the role, and how did that change as things evolved?
Um, well, I was very familiar with the story of the real people. Um, and I keep saying it's not a documentary, so a lot of it has to be imagined. It's a piece of fiction based on real events. So it was so well written. The writing, like Ed said, the dialogue practically said itself. It was so good. Um, but I did do a bit of research listening to the way she speaks and uh, her cadences and her accent. Yeah, and having read, I'm a news junkie and I read a lot of newspapers, so I was very fascinated by the story. So all of that contributed to what was a really good script.
I agree very much. Really, really great script. Gina did such a good job of laying these characters out and creating this. Well, she didn't create the triangle, but expanding upon this triangle. Um, and for me, yeah, I my approach to V very early on was through compassion. I didn't want to shy away from, any side of her. I didn't want to make her too likable or too unlikable. I wanted her to be exactly what she needed to be. But I always saw her through this lens of like someone in need, someone who wanted security, who wanted safety. That was really like the core of her for me. And then what I learned, I guess, may not answer your question, but like personally for me, what surprised me was embodying her early on. I remember our first table read. I suddenly felt very exposed and very sort of unsafe. And it's this idea of playing a woman that people don't like or someone that doesn't toe the line felt really suddenly dangerous to me, even though I know we all know we're pretending. But it created this fear in me, and I kind of had to put aside my own desire to want to be liked in order to play her, and that's something that I learned through the process.
Well, this one is for all three of you because you really did have an incredible dynamic as a triangle. It was remarkable as a viewer to watch. I'm curious from your perspectives, how much of that was a collaborative effort?
Well, I'll just say I love both of them desperately. Um, him because he's lovely, and her because she's a fellow Australian. We're from the same tribe, really. Um, and I think because we all got along so well, no, no tantrums, knew your lines, punctual, all the things that make an actor likable. We got along so well, and it just worked when we had to be mean and cruel to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's always about who you're working with. You're listening and you're watching them, and that elicits usually a response that's workable and okay. And I mean, I think you really depend on each other almost like trapeze artists that, that they depend on catching,
Yep.
even though there's a net. But it's, it's a collaborative thing.
It is. I think it's one of the most collaborative art forms around, and that's what I love so much about it. And you throw things at each other and you catch them, and I just had so much fun with Ed and so much fun with Jacki. There's a scene when I blow in her face,
Oh,
and
mean. That was so mean.
it's not in the show, but there was a take where she blew right back in my face. You know what I mean? It was really playful like that. We felt safe to explore
That's
this
not even-
triangle.
That's giving away. I haven't seen it.
You're so good, you gotta see it. Yeah.
Oh, the three of you are amazing individually and amazing together, and I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this. So
Oh,
congratulations,
Thanks.
and thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much
you.
for having us.